Good. Thank you, Matt. I just want to start off by saying I'm so proud of all of my junior players this season. They really made my first year as director of junior golf a really good one I'll remember forever. So we'll go ahead and get started. In her first season competing in the NHGA Junior Tour events, Madeline found herself at the top of the leaderboard on multiple occasions, winning 6 of the 7 events she played this year. Her best finishes were at North Conway, where she shot a score of 50 for 9 holes, and at Pease, where she shot a 53. Impressive scores continually came in from Madeline, one event after another, as the season progressed along through the year. At only 9 years old, she has already established herself as a strong player on the Junior Tour, with many more impressive years to come. Please join me in welcoming up our Birdie Girl Player of the Year, Madeline Savory.
Good evening. I want to give a big thank you to the New Hampshire Golf Association for letting me play in the New Hampshire Golf Tournament Series this summer. I had a lot of fun playing in these events. There were a lot of great courses, and my favorite course was North Conway Country Club. My favorite hole that day was hole 8. It was a par 5, 462 yards. My favorite shot on that hole was hitting my hybrid 115 yards onto the green, 10 feet from the hole, and then making the putt. It was long playing from the ladies' tees, but I shot a 50 that day from 2,769 yards. I also enjoyed playing with my new golf friend Sophie. She was fun to play with, and she was really nice. My dad really had me start playing golf 3 years ago. He had me play in the U.S. Kids Golf event, and from then on, I had been hooked. Then, thank you, Dad, for helping me with my golf game and for being my daddy caddy when I need you. Thank you, Mom, and to my sister Michaela for always supporting me. I want to say thank you to my golf coaches, Patrick Gauklin and Phil Davis. They always help me learn more about golf and to get better. A special thank you to Kinsey for allowing me to play in these events 1 year early. Also to her helpers for running all the events. They were a lot of fun. I hope to keep playing in these golf events and many others. I would like to say a shout out to some special people who really support me in my game. Sandy Mishke, Mr. Hazelton, Avery Thurber, Madison Mundy, Cora Rose, Mrs. Weaver, Mrs. Rose, and Mrs. Hannigan. Thank you.
This next person is no stranger to winning Player of the Year honors, as this is her 4th straight Eagle Girls Player of the Year. She is also the first junior player to ever win this honor 4 times in a row, and the only junior player to ever win 6 total Player of the Year awards. Hannah Drew continued to show her talents on the NHGA Junior Tour by winning 5 of the 7 events she played in this year. Hannah's best round of the season was at Nipple Lake Golf Course, where she shot a 77. She also won events at Loudon, Wyndham, Pease, and took first place at the Junior Invitational at Abenaki Country Club this year with her score of 89. Recently, Hannah earned the champion title in the Girls Individual High School Championship with a score of 77. She also had the lowest score on her Keene High School team for the High School Team Championship, firing out an 80 at the Oaks Golf Links. With all of these success she has already found, Hannah has proved herself to be a strong competitor, and we can't wait to see where she goes next. Please join me in welcoming up our Eagle Girls Player of the Year, Hannah Drew.
Good evening. So there's a few people that I'd like to thank tonight. One being all the members of the New Hampshire Golf Association. Every year they put on amazing events, and thank you this year to Kinsey.
Can you put a microphone closer to you, honey?
Sorry. Thank you to Kinsey as well. She did an amazing job setting up and running these events along with the other members who helped her out. Special thanks to my parents, as they have driven me to all of my golf events throughout the state and throughout New England. They always are carting me around. I don't know how I'd succeed without them. They've helped me with all my equipment, my lessons, and just supporting me. And then, of course, huge thank you to my brother Hunter, he's the best golf coach around. I love him dearly, and he's helped me succeed and helped me with my putting this summer when I was really struggling, which is partially the 89 on that one round mentioned. But he's really stuck with me and been the best coach I've had. So thank you all. Have a nice evening.
Max Landon found himself sitting on top of the leaderboard on multiple occasions this season, never finishing outside of the top 3. He won 2 of his events this year, shooting an impressive score of 42 for 9 holes at Loudon and a 41 at Wyndham. As an 11-year-old, these accomplishments truly attest to the skill level and determination Max showed every time he stepped up to the tee. Unfortunately, Max and his family moved to Utah at the end of the season, and Max will be greatly missed on the NHGA Junior Tour next year, but we still wanted to honor him tonight and all he has accomplished. So please join me in congratulating our Birdie Boys Player of the Year, Max Landon. After starting off the season losing in a playoff at the Hoodcroft Junior Open, Bryce went on to win every single other Junior Tour event on the schedule, totaling in 9 victories. His lowest score came from Dairyfield Country Club at 1 under par 69, which secured him the medalist title in the qualifying round of the Red Ryan tournament. Bryce continued to shoot low scores all season, firing out a 72 at Nippo Lake and a 74 at Abenaki Country Club, which led him to win his division of the Junior Invitational. Bryce has displayed a solid golf season all year long, even outside of the Junior Tour tournaments. He qualified and played in the State Am at Hanover Country Club this year. He also had a solid performance at the Stroke Play Championship, making the final cut of 36 holes for the competition. He also represented New Hampshire on the New England Junior team. Most recently, Bryce finished in first place at the Division I Boys High School State Championship at Dairyfield Country Club. When it comes to junior golf in New Hampshire, Bryce is a force to be reckoned with. His talent and his will to win will surely take him far in the game of golf. It's my honor to welcome up our Eagle Bee Boys Player of the Year, Bryce Zimmerman.
All right, first off, I'd like to thank Manchester Country Club for hosting this wonderful dinner once again. Also, I'd like to congratulate all of the other players on their amazing seasons on the Junior Tour. It's been such an amazing season playing in all these NHGA Junior Tour events. Each tournament I played in this year was such a great learning experience and progressively made me better throughout the entire season. This NHGA tournament season couldn't have been done without all the help from everyone. I'd like to thank Kinsey, Tim, Chelsea, Kaylee, Kate, Greg, and Matt for all that they do to make these tournaments the best that they can be. Also, big thanks to my parents for all their support this season. I couldn't have done it without them. I also couldn't have gotten to the tournaments without my mom driving me there and my dad paying for all of them. It's been such an amazing year, and I can't wait to see what next year brings. Thank you.
All right. Ryan Rothsteiner has had a busy season on this year's NHGA Junior Tour. He finished in the top 5 on the leaderboard in every event that he played in. Ryan's best finish was at Abenaki Country Club, where he shot a 76. His last 6 holes at Abenaki won him his division of the Junior Invitational, where he beat out fellow competitor Owen Himmer in a scorecard matching playoff. He placed second at both the Wyndham and Loudon Junior Tour events with scores of 80 and 83. Ryan displayed determination to succeed during his time on the Junior Tour, and his accomplishments as a junior golfer truly reflect that. We will miss him next season. As it comes to no surprise, Ryan has already found success in golf outside of the NHGA Junior Tour. He currently attends the New Hampshire Technical Institute, where he brought his love of the game of golf with him and currently plays on their golf team. He was also awarded as a YSCC Player of the Week as a freshman. Ryan's ambition will only continue to put him in high places. Please welcome up our Eagle A Boys Player of the Year, Ryan Rothsteiner.
Well, like they all said earlier, I'd like to thank the NHGA and the NHGA Junior Tour for just putting on wonderful events year after year. I've only been able to play it for a couple of years, but the events that I have played in have just been wonderful courses, and it's just been awesome to be able to play on these events. I've also been able to form just wonderful friendships from meeting kids throughout the entire state that through just kind of playing on my own I would never be able to get the chance to meet. So it's really just been a wonderful opportunity. So this is my last year on the junior tour, and I am looking forward to competing on the next level of the NHGA. I was able to play in the state am for the first time, and that was just an awesome experience. So I look forward to doing that in the years to come. I'd like to thank my parents for just supporting me throughout these past couple years, just kind of pushing me to be the best golfer that I can, to be the best person that I can be as well. I'd also like to thank my grandfather, Ed Morgan, for kind of being my role model throughout my life, and through golf. He introduced the game of golf to me at a very young age and kind of gave that love of golf that it's so easy to get that niche, and it's easy to get the love for the game at a young age. And like I said, just thanks to the NHGA for putting on such a wonderful event, as long as Manchester Country Club here tonight. It's just been such a wonderful season, and I look forward to next year as well.
Thanks, Kinsey. Congratulations to all the Junior Tour players, and thanks to all of you for being here tonight. I first would like to introduce the Kirk Hannafeld New Hampshire Junior Player of the Year. Sam Barton added to his impressive junior golf resume in 2018 with some fantastic performances across the region. The Kingswood High School graduate took home top individual honors at the NHIA Division II Championships last fall in his senior campaign. Barton kicked off the New Hampshire golf season this year with an impressive performance at the State Amateur at Hanover Country Club, advancing to the round of 16 before bowing out to the reigning Junior Player of the Year, Tommy Ethier. Sam had a fantastic month of August, finishing 8th at the Stroke Play Championship and 5th at the New England Junior Invitational. The highlight of August and summer for Sam was claiming the New Hampshire Junior Championship at Green Meadow Golf Club as the medalist and #1 seed. I'm proud to introduce the 2018 Kirk Hannafeld New Hampshire Junior Player of the Year, Sam Barton.
Thank you, Greg. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank the New Hampshire Golf Association and all their staff. Their commitment to their jobs and growing the game of golf in the state of New Hampshire will serve as an example for me for the rest of my life. My first days of competitive golf were played on their junior tour back a few years ago. I remember showing up every day, really excited to play, and there always being a great tournament awaiting me. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank my friends and family. Their continued support and unwavering enthusiasm in my golf game. It's a tremendous honor to be named as the Junior Player of the Year, and I can't thank those around me enough. And thank you to Manchester Country Club for putting on a great dinner, and thank you again to the New Hampshire Golf Association.
I'm now going to turn it over to NHWGA President Mary Jane Cormier, who's going to introduce the NHWGA Player of the Year.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank NHGA for inviting us to be involved with this great dinner that you're having. It's been a pleasure to work with the staff. They are an incredible group of young men and women that work at NHGA, so I'd like to thank you all for that. Our Player of the Year this year is no surprise to winning. She is works as an intern at the NHGA. She's a pleasure to work with. She came in 4th at the New Englands this year. She came 2nd at our state championship and plays at Sacred Heart University. It is my pleasure to give our Player of the Year to Chelsea Sedlar.
Thank you, MJ, and I just want to say how big of an honor it is to be here with some of the best players in New Hampshire golf, and I'm very excited to receive this award. My first thank you, of course, is going to be to the NHWGA for presenting me with this award, and it's an honor to receive it with some of the past names that have won it, and I'm proud to be a part of that. My second thank you is going to go to the NHGA staff. Not only have they hired me on for an intern now for 2 summers, but they give me ample time off to play golf, and they come out and support me. They've come out in the past 2 NHWGA AM championships, and it's great to have them there, and it's great to have their support, and it's been really fun working with you guys for these past 2 summers. My final thank you, my most important thank you, is going to go to my family and friends, especially my parents. I think I broke my mom's heart when I told her I didn't want to be a swimmer anymore. But as soon as I decided that I wanted golf to be my passion, both her and my father gave me every opportunity that they could to have me excel in the sport. They took countless days off of work to come with me to every single junior event, countless college visits, money spent on hotels, junior events, and I know I wouldn't be here without them, and I just want to say every thank you to them, and also to my Uncle Jack. Him and my dad would go out with me every single week, teach me the game, teach me the fundamentals, and I know I wouldn't be here, and I certainly wouldn't be a collegiate golfer and receiving this award if it wasn't for them. And a final thank you to Manchester Country Club and the NHGA staff for running this event. It's a wonderful night. It's beautiful in here. Dinner was great. Thank you so much for everything.
Rich Parker made his return to amateur golf in 2018 and quickly showed why he's one of the most decorated golfers in the history of New England golf. Parker, the Dartmouth men's golf coach, participated in the 2018 New England Senior Championship and made a late charge towards the top of the leaderboard before ultimately finishing as the runner-up. After a great performance at the New Englands, Parker came to Laconia Country Club for the New Hampshire Senior Championship and hit 35 of 36 greens for the two-round event. Parker put himself in impressive company by winning the event, joining Bob Mielkars and Phil Pleat as the only players to win that event since 2010. Rich was unable to be here tonight, but asked that we play this video here on his behalf.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight. I'm on the road with my team for the last tournament of the fall season, but I did want to address a few of the people that are being inducted tonight. And congratulations to everybody getting to the first class of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. It's awesome. It's a big deal, and we have a lot of history here, right in this room. First of all, I'd like to address one of the main reasons I'm talking to you tonight is Doc Elliott. I grew up in Lebanon, junior golfer, but I played a lot of sports. And you know, Doc, gruff guy, scared a lot of people. Always called me Parker, never Rich. And so I had a big turn of events that we became really good friends. When I was 16, I won the New Hampshire Junior at Brentwood. Lucky to win in the final, honestly. Beat a kid named Rick Patterson. I think I was 2 down with 3 left, and got a lucky hop there at Brentwood on the par 5 coming in. Lucky enough to win. So the following year, the junior tournament was at Concord Country Club. Well, I played a lot of sports, so I didn't have time to go play practice rounds. And so I saw Doc. I'm not really sure if he had called me and told me that I was exempt being a past champion, or I could choose to qualify, because I wanted to play because I wasn't going down for the practice round. He said, well, there are no practice rounds. I said, okay. I said, well, I'll play in the tournament. He goes, really? I go, yeah, I'll play in the tournament. I'll give up my exemption. And I think that moment right there really changed everything about my relationship with Doc Elliott. I think he thought I was crazy. I think he found respect for me. I played that tournament and got to the final and was 5 down after 7 to a kid named Chris Young from Kingswood. Came back to beat Chris on the 17th hole to win my 2nd title, and from that day on, we were really, really good friends, myself and Doc. Time goes by, I go to college. I always played in the New Hampshire Open as an amateur. It was a 2-day event. I had time for it. One year, I forgot to send my application in, and I knew I was screwed because I know Doc, and I know where he's going to go with this. I saw him, I said, listen, Doc, I don't know what to say, I'm late with my thing. You know I want to play, I play every year. He says, yep, you can definitely play. I said, really? He goes, yeah, just play in the state am. I go, I'm not playing. I'm not playing. We've gone through this. He always wanted me to play, year after year. I'm like, I can't play. I don't have 7 days. I have played baseball, basketball, I work. Like, I'm not doing it. Okay, that's fine. You know what, next year you come to the Hampshire Open. A couple days went by, I called him up and said, all right, I'm in. Where is the New Hampshire in? North Conway. Wow. Ends up, as time goes by, my favorite course. I ended up winning 3 New Hampshire Opens at North Conway. So the tournament's at North Conway, right? Go up there, qualify, I played against all the legends. They're in the room, right? I had to play a guy named Bo from Portsmouth. I played Billy Andrews. I played Peter Harrity. I think that's where I first met Dana. I'm not sure if she was Dana Harrity, but I always felt like Dana was mad at me because I beat Pete that day. He had the towel going. He was wet. So I played the 1 year. I ended up getting beat in semifinals. And from then on, you know, I loved Doc Elliott. You know, and I felt like he probably did me too. And really, if there was one guy that I felt like should be there tonight, it would be for him. Congratulations to the Elliott family. It's well deserved. On to the rest of the characters. Played against Kirk, great player. Tony Locke, he's just a good human being. Congratulations, you deserve it. There's no way I could not talk about Bobby Milkarth. That one particular stadium that I did play in, I was on a crash course to play Bob in the final, and I got beat by Greg Cate in the semis. I always regretted that, Bob. I always felt like that I wanted to play you in a match when we both were at our peaks. You know, when I was just coming out of college, because all the things that you did that I heard about, I just thought it would be a great matchup. You know, I know mentally you probably would have dominated me, but I probably would have ignored you. I'm going to tell you, when I finished up a couple of weeks ago on the last call with Laconia, when I came down into the Hampshire Senior, it was a proud moment that you and Danny Arvanitis and those guys were waiting for me on the green. It meant a lot to me. So congratulations. And then lastly, I would just like to leave you with a story, a funny story maybe, so you can have a chuckle before I go. You know, growing up in here in New Hampshire and playing golf, and, you know, I carried the banner everywhere I went. I got to play in a couple of U.S. Opens, played on a few tours, South Africa. You know, it's funny, coming from this state, we have so many good golfers that people have no idea about. You know, growing up on the border in Lebanon, so I was kind of a Vermont kid as well. And I never really pulled the Rich Parker card. Like, you know, I didn't realize how much a golf cost, as I always got to play for nothing. And one funny story I'd like to just tell you before I go would be that one night my wife, who doesn't play golf, wanted to go up to Bradford, Vermont, and play 9 holes. This was back when I was good, back when in my 20s. And that's not true, it was early 30s. And so we go up to this 9-hole course up in Bradford, Vermont. And I walk in, because the only reason we wanted to go to Colatina or exit for pizza after. And I walked in and I said to the guy, I said, how much is it for 9 holes? He said, $24. I said, for 2? He said, no, a piece. I said, $24 for 9 holes, really? He said, yeah, that's what it cost. I said, wow. I said, I had no idea. I said, well, what would you do if Rich Parker came up here to play golf? He goes, well, he wouldn't have to pay. I said, good, I'm him. That was the only time I ever played. Sorry I can't be there. Have fun.
In 2018, Pat Pelletier had one of the most consistently impressive seasons by a New Hampshire golfer in quite some time. Pelletier started off his first full season after his return to amateur golf with an 8th place finish at the Players Invitational. As the weather warmed up and the summer began, so too did Pat's game. He finished as the low amateur in Vermont at the Vermont Open while finishing in a tie for 3rd place overall for the championship. Teeing off at Hanover as one of the favorites for the State Amateur Championship, Pelletier did not disappoint. He earned the medalist honors with a 2-round qualifying score of 7 under par, 135. Pat continued his stellar play throughout the week, winning matches against NHGA champions Bill Everett, Ryan Kohler, Brandon Gillis, and Connor Greenleaf, before ultimately being defeated in the final match by Matt Paradise. Pat didn't allow the sour finish at the State Amateur to disappoint him for too long, as he went on to finish runner-up in low amateur at the New Hampshire Open just 2 weeks later, and then followed it up the week after that with a dominating victory at the Stroke Play Championship at Canterbury Woods Country Club. We're thrilled to have a player with Pat's ability back in New Hampshire playing amateur golf and representing the Granite State both regionally and nationally. It's my honor to introduce the 2018 Thomas J. Leonard New Hampshire Player of the Year, Pat Pelletier.
All right, Richie's a tough act to follow. I grew up watching Rich play golf. He's from my hometown, so it's quite the act to follow. He's a great guy, great player. First off, I just want to say what an honor it is to be here tonight, surrounded by all these talented people. There's a lot of great golfers in this room, and just to be a part of it is amazing. There are many fantastic players at every level of golf in this state, from the women's tour to the junior golf to the mid-amateur level to the senior level. There's many fantastic golfers, and again, it's just a privilege to be able to play back in the amateur ranks. I tried the pro circuit for a little while, and golf obviously is hard, as many of you know. So just be able to be accepted back into the amateur ranks is a wonderful thing. Being able to play with many different people of all levels, it's just a great thing. A big thanks to Matt, Greg, and the rest of the staff. I'm terrible with names, so if I forget you, I'm sorry. I really just have Matt and Greg's name down. I know Glenn does a lot, all the interns, all the volunteers. You guys simply do not get enough recognition. All the travel that you guys do to run such fantastic tournaments. You guys really run a professional tournament every single time out. And all the amateurs, all the juniors, the women, the seniors, every level, it really is a privilege to be able to play in such fantastic events at great venues. You guys continue to add each year new tournaments to help grow the game. And I have a 2-year-old son, so it's just great to see how much you guys add to the tournament schedule. It really is a great thing. Finally, I just want to thank my fiance, Amy, who has been by my side through all my ups and downs in my golf career. As I said, I tried the pro circuit. It's very tough, as you all know. I've dealt with some injuries, and she's been by my side through all my ups and downs. And golf became more of a chore and wasn't as much fun. And so she's been by my side, encouraging me to play in tournaments and get back into it. And so back in a full season this summer as an amateur, golf has become fun again. And as I said, I've met a lot of new people again along the way. And everybody is just amazing to play with. So thank you all for being here tonight. And the real thing tonight is the 10 people that are going to be inducted right after this. So I won't hold your time anymore. And I just want to say again, it's a privilege to be here. It's a great night to celebrate New Hampshire golf and everything that it has to offer. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, we have reached the portion of the evening that I know everybody is eagerly waiting for, and that's our induction into the first class of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. Before we get to the actual inductions, I'm going to ask our Hall of Fame Committee Chair, David Larrabee, to approach the stage just to give an overview of how we got to this point and talk a little bit about the criteria for the Hall of Fame.
First, welcome everyone to our inaugural Hall of Fame. This has been a long time coming. This goes back to some thoughts that were germinated by Matt. Glenn Walton grabbed a hold of them, and then when I joined the board, asked me to chair this committee. And it's been a real pleasure to sort of lead some people to get us to where we are tonight. The New Hampshire Golf Association has been around since 1905, and so we're really taking a look back and trying to honor the history and the legacy of golf in the state of New Hampshire. And it was not an easy task. We first then put together a group of people whose job it was to come up with a mission statement and criteria, etc., so that we could try to put forth a program that could continue yearly and have some roots and have some good thought around how we're going to do it year over year. So just to read you what the mission statement is. The New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame was established to recognize individuals for their contributions to the game of golf in the Granite State. The Hall of Fame seeks to identify those who have had a profound effect on the game through accomplishments in playing, volunteerism, teaching, or any activity that has made a positive impact on the game within the state of New Hampshire. So that's our mission statement, and I think that embodies, the people who are being inducted embody those values as well. We then had to come up with some criteria. So as we went through this, we had the benefit of looking at other Hall of Fames in other states and came up with the following. So we are looking to induct folks that are nominees, which would be included as amateur players, golf professionals, both of the playing and teaching type, and as well as contributors. And contributors have sort of a broad category. It could be superintendents, it could be an architect, it could be a person from the media, it could be a volunteer, or it could be an administrator. So those are the criteria of the people that we are going to look to induct over time. We then put together the committee, the group of people that will choose who the nominees will be for each successive year. And we really wanted to have a cross-section of the different types of supporters in the golf business in the state of New Hampshire. So we have representation on the committee from the New Hampshire Golf Association, from the New Hampshire Women's Golf Association, from the New Hampshire PGA chapter, the New Hampshire Golf Superintendents Association as well, and we have a couple of ad hoc positions so that there can be some representation from different parts of the golf community throughout the state. So that is the group of people that have worked to put together the inductees who are coming in tonight. I want to take a second to sort of acknowledge my committee. So if I please stand up and you can hold your applause till we're done. Dave Osterhout, please stand. John Lewandowski, John Bottomley, Nancy Reinhardt, and Tony Locke. Thank you, guys. So that leads us to kind of where we are right now. When it came to sort of looking at the two types of, two sections of people that we would consider, there were contributors, so people who have been known throughout the community and known within golf to be big supporters of the game. And so that was done through the committee's research and the people that we know. And we have some people that have been around golf for a long time, so we really had a good sense of that. For the players, it was a little more difficult. There's a lot of really good golfers in this room, and we had to sort of come up with a way to how to rank the number of wins, the type of wins, and try to come up with a process to identify who the winners would be. In the future, after this inaugural class, we're going to take nominations from the public. So we'll be asking people on the website. There'll be a way for people to try to nominate someone, and that will come forth to committee for consideration, as well things that we know about people and what their accomplishments are in the state of New Hampshire. But to get to the players, we had to really try to figure out how do you rank wins and how do you sort of put it together and try to come up with who's going to be in the inaugural class. And so we came up with a ranking system and really took a look at the number of wins and started to sort of weight things, if it was a professional win or a major win, or if it was a state amateur win or a state open win or a regional win, if it was a college match, etc. So we put together a pretty substantial list of wins with a lot of people that are on that list. So there's a lot of people that are in this room that are on this list, which brings me to the burning question I know you're all asking. Where is Dave Larrabee on this list? I'm sorry to say that I'm actually at the very bottom, so they won't be talking about me anytime soon. But there are a lot of really high-quality candidates here, and it really took a good, thorough process to come to the group of people that we have tonight. So before I hand this off back to Matt to sort of take us through, I do want to point you out to the brochure that you have at your table. All of the winners are listed in there, plus their accomplishments, which are substantial. And I encourage you to look at that while people are being announced for the inaugural class of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Okay, our first inductee into the 2018 New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame class is Bill Barrett, Golf Course Superintendent. He's going to be introduced, and his induction will be accepted by his son, Brian Barrett.
On behalf of my father, Bill Barrett, I want to thank the NHGA, its members and board, the New Hampshire Golf Course Superintendents Association for this greatest of honors. Most of all, Bill Barrett would want to thank the love of his life, without whom he could not have accomplished any of this. his greatest asset in this world, his wife and our mother, Mrs. Ann Barrett. You have read or heard of my father's accomplishments and what he meant to golf in the great state of New Hampshire. But you haven't heard how he would have reacted. Above all, Bill was humble, and he would have felt that you didn't make any sort of fuss like this over him, especially over what came naturally to him. And what came naturally to him was making those around him better, making organizations greater, and giving to those in need. He also would have said, and those that know him well will remember this, he said, you don't need to spend that kind of money on a dinner to celebrate me. Go buy a Red Sox t-shirt and give it to a kid, for God's sake. How about those Red Sox, eh? Which brings me to another thank you from my dad to Kate and Kinsey. Where's Kate and Kinsey? I know they're here somewhere. Thank you from my dad for organizing this so it's over before the game starts tonight. Thank you so much. Golf was important to Bill Barrett, and work was essential. But making everyone and everything around him better was the driving force within him. And whether you were the Greens Committee chair or the busboy in the clubhouse, whether you were the superintendent or the teenager raking sand traps to get himself or herself through school, whether you were the president of Dartmouth College or the toll taker on Route 95 who he met every day, Bill Barrett always saw your best qualities and helped make you a better person for having known him. I want to thank you on behalf of the extended Barrett family, Bill's friends, and the entire town of Northampton, New Hampshire. Thank you, folks.
Our second inductee this evening is Doc Elliott, longtime Secretary Treasurer of the NHGA. And to introduce and accept his induction, I'm going to ask his daughter, Karen Elliott Prescott, to approach the stage.
Good evening. It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be here. I thank you on behalf of my sisters, Marlene and Janine, who could not join us tonight. Thank you for your recognition of my father's commitment and achievement toward the New Hampshire Golf Association. For well over 3 decades, my father worked tirelessly and passionately for this game he loved so much. He was recognized as a traditionalist and a man of unquestioned integrity, both on and off the course. And I agree, he was gruff. I lived with him. My father did this while running his dental practice and being the father of 5 children. Who does that? However, his achievements cannot be mentioned without including his right hand, my mother. As many know, they were a great team. On behalf of his family, I thank you for this distinguished recognition. We are proud. Thank you.
Our next inductee this evening is the founder of Green Meadow Golf Course and member of the New England PGA Hall of Fame, Phil Friel, PGA professional, and he's going to be introduced and his induction accepted by his son, David.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to accept this for my dad, for our family. Speak up. He'd be coming up on 102 if he were still with us. And you can read in his bio, he played in 7 PGA championships, won the New Hampshire Open, the Maine Open, and New England PGA Championship, all kinds of senior tournaments. But the real thing about my dad is he loved golf. And he loved golfers. He loved everything about golf. Wasn't too wild about the people that would tell him to play more quickly. But other than that, everything about golf, and I won't go on and on, but there is one story. I just learned this a few weeks ago where Tom Tebow, who Pat would remember, he was John Warble's assistant at Nashville Country Club. So I was at Green Meadows getting a cup of coffee, and he walks in and he says, you know, every time I walk in here, I think about this day in my life. I was trying to pass my playability test. So the test at the time, and you needed this to become a PGA professional, this was the only thing holding him back. He said, I failed it 5 times, and the course rating was 69, and which they had to play 2 rounds, which would have been 138, and you had to shoot 15 over the course rating to qualify. So he shot 154, which would have missed by 1. Is that right? I think so, something like that. So he walked in, and my dad saw him, and he said, hey, Tom, how'd it go? He said, geez, Phil, I just missed a 5-foot putt to miss by 1. So my dad said, well, you know, what's this, how does this work? He said, well, you got to shoot 15 over the course rating for 2 rounds, and I missed by 1. I shot 153, and whatever it was. My father said, well, so what's the course rating? He says, 69. My father looked at him, he said, no, course rating 70. Went right over to George Williams, changed the course rating, and Tom Tebow got his PGA card. So. But that's the way he was. He loved golf, he wanted to be fun for people, and that was him. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee this evening is renowned amateur and professional golfer Jesse Guilford, and he's going to be introduced and his induction accepted by his grandson, Jack Guilford.
Good evening. I was 3 years old when my grandfather passed, but I know he loved the game. He really enjoyed it. And one thing he said, he won the 1921 U.S. Amateur Open. He said if I was going to win, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't make a speech. So thank you. Have a good night.
Must be a Sox fan there. Our next inductee this evening is an individual who served as a PGA professional for over 50 years, Tony Locke. And he is going to be introduced by his son, Tim, PGA professional at Kachiko Country Club.
On behalf of the New England PGA, the New Hampshire chapter of the PGA, and the New Hampshire Golf Association, I'd like to welcome friends, family. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees tonight. Yours is an honor well deserved. What can I say about my dad, Tony Locke? Well, I will say this. He wishes he was up here right now giving this speech. If you know Tony, you know what I'm talking about. Tony came from very humble beginnings as a young broke kid who started caddying at Exeter Country Club in 1939 at the age of 9. His older brother Joe told him the golf course was a great place to meet the right kind of people and earn some decent money. His brother Frank was also a caddy, and his brother Mike soon joined the ranks, so the Locke family was well represented at Exeter Country Club. As all caddies do, Tony started playing golf with his brothers and other caddies, eventually going on to win the club championship at Exeter in 1950, 52, and 53. In 1954, he was hired as a head professional at Claremont Country Club, where he worked for 3 seasons, until a great opportunity presented itself at a newly constructed golf course in Greenland, New Hampshire. Tony was approached by a few board members of that club. They offered him the position. He accepted. So in 1957, Portsmouth Country Club became Tony Locke's home course for the next 34 years. And his name is still synonymous with that course even to this day. Tony obtained his Class A license, his PGA Class A in 1959, and he was instrumental in starting the New Hampshire chapter in 1962. An accomplished player in his own right, Tony was the winner of more than 100 Pro-Ams throughout New England and the New Hampshire chapter, including the New Hampshire chapter champion in 1977 and 1984. Tony was named PGA Professional of the Year in New Hampshire by his peers in 1978. A few of his more rewarding golf accomplishments were a 1965 four-ball match right here at Manchester Country Club, where Tony and then state champ Warren Tibbetts beat tour players Bob Charles and Bruce Devlin. He talked about that for years. He won a pro press tournament in which his partner was my brother Bob. He won the Pro Wife Championship 3 years in a row with my mom Sheila. And in one of those victories, they shot a 9-hole alternate shot score of 32. In 1981, he and his fellow golf enthusiasts from the Seacoast, Walt Jackson, John Bottomley, and Champ Ballard, formed the Seacoast Amateur, which is still one of the premier New Hampshire golf events. He was also very proud of his annual Pro Celebrity Tournament that he ran for 12 years at Portsmouth Country Club, where he was able to get many of the day's Boston sports legends to play in his fundraiser. Tony retired from golf at Portsmouth in 1991 and then went on for 4 years as the GM at Pease Golf Course, where he used his expertise in the golf industry to get the former military golf course up and running as a thriving public course. Pease Golf Course was actually the original Portsmouth Country Club, so that was more than fitting for him. After his retirement, I was fortunate enough to be with him one day when he shot his age at Kachiko Country Club, shooting a 74 from the blue tees. Amidst this illustrious career of accomplishments, can I also mention that along the way he fathered 10 children. And I'd like to introduce my mom, Sheila, right over there. Hey, Mom. She is a saint. They're also the proud grandparents of 24 grandkids and 28 great-grandkids. So I don't need to mention my dad's also a devout Catholic. Everybody knows Tony. And I'm still reminded of that to this day. They called me Tony just earlier. That's been happening to me my whole life. I'm also reminded of his many acts of kindness to others. People come up to me quite often and tell me of something nice that Tony did for them somewhere along the lines in the world of golf. I'm also reminded of his unique ability to remember people's names, which is a very wonderful talent. He doesn't golf anymore. He's happier hunting his golf balls. I'd like to close with a phrase that my dad told us countless times when we were growing up. He said, "Show up, be on time, and work hard, and you'll always have a job." And it's my sincere pleasure to induct my dad, Tony Locke, into the 2018 New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame.
Our next inductee is an outstanding LPGA Tour professional and a staple of golf in the state of New Hampshire, Jane Blaylock. Unfortunately, Jane could not be here this evening, but she's going to be introduced in her induction accepted by her brother, Jim.
It's only appropriate that Janie follows Tony Locke, because I believe if it weren't for Tony, Janie would not be much of a golfer. So I remember he was a champion of children when she was a young aspiring golfer at Portsmouth Country Club. Made sure that she had places to play and people to play with. So thank you, Tony. You were a champion for all of us children in those times. My sister cannot be here tonight because she is at a previously scheduled meeting with the PGA of America with the incoming president, Susie Whaley, and her executive team to discuss growing the game of golf for women with their PGA golf women's clinics that they have around the country. So I hear a lot of tonight about growing the game of golf, and this is what she has been doing, and this is what I will speak about tonight. Janie wants me to express these words, quote, "I am extremely honored to be inducted into the inaugural class of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. New Hampshire has always been my home, and I'm so grateful to be for the support of all my friends throughout the state, particularly from Portsmouth, who have supported and cheered me on as a young girl, learning to play the game and throughout my entire LPGA career. New Hampshire has been, my New Hampshire roots have created the foundation and values which have allowed me to achieve success on and off the golf course. Janie is eternally grateful also to the New Hampshire Women's Golf Association, whose members were not only supportive of her when she was a young girl, an inspiring golfer, but provided fun and friendly community for which she could play, nurture her competitive fire, and all the while learning that golf is a game of rules, honesty, integrity, and respect. We are all aware of Janie's accomplishments: 27 LPGA victories, 3, I believe, New Hampshire Golf Association women's victories, New England Golf Association victories. But here is a personal story that conveys my sister's more valuable perspective of golf. 15 years ago, my golf game was in shambles. I announced to Janie that I was going to quit the game. Her response was to give me a new set of golf clubs, explaining it's too great of a game to give up. With the club, she gave me a book, The Greatest Game Ever Played, which taught me some decide to give up the game rather than continue to face the furies that descend upon them, a valuable lesson for all of us. I know that this gift was her way of helping me grasp the profound quality of this game. Then she introduced me to the First Tee of New Hampshire, because she knew from experience that giving back to the game is the secret for appreciating golf's greatest qualities. My game did return, so if anyone is in a slump, come volunteer for the First Tee of New Hampshire. Certainly as impressive as Janie's playing career was, her giving back resume is what we should be in most awe. And I'm just going to briefly spell out some of those things. She created the PGA Golf Clinic for Women, which is the meeting she's in with today. For 28 years counting, these clinics are conducted to elevate and empower women through the game of golf. Janie's clinic series, 12 annually nationwide, has served over 400,000 women. Excuse me, 40,000 women. That would have been a lot. Janie is the founder and CEO of the LPGA Legends Tour, which showcases the talents of LPGA Tour professionals age 45 and over and represents some of the most memorable and talented female golfers in the history of the game. The Legends Tour has helped raise over $22 million in charity. She is the creator of the Honda Cup, a U.S. first world competition, the only world-class professional golf tournament played in New Hampshire. During this event, several of these players, including Pat Bradley and Nancy Lopez, assisted me in conducting a First Tee class. This event raised over $50,000 for the First Tee of New Hampshire. In partnership with the New Hampshire Athletic Department, in spanning over 2 decades, Janie created and conducted the Jane Blaylock Pro-Am Classic, resulting in 2 endowed scholarships for women's athletics at the University of New Hampshire. She received a presidential appointment from George H.W. Bush to the President's Council of Sports and Physical Fitness. Janie was given the Humanitarian Award for the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. In summary, Janie feels more deserving of tonight's honor for being a champion of and for women than a champion in women's golf. Thank you.
Our next inductee is our only, to my knowledge, World Golf Hall of Famer in attendance tonight, and Pat Bradley, and she will be introduced by our Hall of Fame Committee Chair, Dave Larrabee.
So I had an opportunity to meet Pat as she came in this evening, her mom Kathleen and her brother and sister-in-law. So welcome back to New Hampshire. Glad to have you here. I have the honor of reading a little something that can prepare you for Pat and her comments. Pat is a native of Westford, Mass. And was the only daughter of the 6 children of Richard and Kay Bradley. Her father was an avid golfer, and Pat's love of the game began at age 11 when she began playing out of Nashua Country Club. She won the New Hampshire Women's Amateur at 67, and she reminded me that was 50 some odd years ago, in 69, and the New England's Women's Amateur in 72 and 73. In 1970, she was selected as an All-American at the Florida International University. Bradley officially joined the LPGA Tour in 1974 and got her first win at the Girls Talk Classic in '76, a year in which she finished second 6 times. She won 3 times in '78, which led to an even more success in the early to mid-'80s. She led the LPGA Tour in wins during the '83 and '86 seasons. Her first major championship came at the Peter Jacobson Classic in 1980, and she added a U.S. Women's Open title in '81 and a Demurrier Classic Championship in 1985. In 1986, she won 3 of 4 LPGA majors and finished 5th in the U.S. Women's Open to narrowly miss the Grand Slam. That year, she won the money title in the VAR Trophy. She won 4 times in '91, captured her second money and scoring titles, and was named the LPGA Player of the Year for a second time. Her last victory on the LPGA Tour came in 1995. Her 31 LPGA Tour victories ranked 16th in all time, and she was the 3rd woman in history to complete an LPGA career Grand Slam. Her 6 major championships ranked 10th in all time. She was a participant on 3 Solheim Cup teams and captain in 2000. Pat was the first LPGA player to cross the $2 million, $3 million, and $4 million milestones in career earnings. She was the second golfer in LPGA Tour history to post a score of 28 for 9 holes, which at the time she did in 1984 was a tour record. That record held to 2005. She is one of 4 golfers in LPGA history to win 3 majors in a single season. Lastly, in her hometown of Westford, there is a road, the Pat Bradley Highway, named in honor of her. And in August 3rd, 2005, she threw out the first pitch at Fenway Park. Hopefully they don't need you to do it tonight. Please join me in welcoming the 1991 World Golf Hall of Fame inductee and now member of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame, Pat Bradley.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the New Hampshire Women's Golf Association and New Hampshire Golf Association, and especially the Hall of Fame Committee for this great honor. I'd also like to congratulate my fellow inductees. It's such a wonderful evening to share this honor with you. New Hampshire, Nashua Country Club, to be specific, is where I started my golf journey at the age of 11. My dad, Richard, learned the love of golf as a caddy with my mom's brothers. He made a promise to himself that when he would introduce the game of golf to his children down the road. I grew up with 5 brothers. I played team sports with them. And one day playing football, they told me, Pat, hike and block. I said, what? They said, you're such a good hiker and you're such a good blocker. We need you there. They had all the glamorous positions, quarterback, wide receiver. I hiked and blocked. I came home and said to my dad, I want to go with you the next time you play golf. We were members at Nashua Country Club. My dad brought me to meet the head professional, John Werble, who was a wonderful teacher and coach, and he was a protege to the great Phil Friel. I started taking lessons with John. He was a kind, very patient, always helpful, took me under his wing. He was a stickler for the basics, solid grip, correct address position, and ball position. There weren't many young girls playing golf in the 60s. So I had to rely on the wonderful membership at Nashua Country Club for playing and guidance. Not only did I get my competitive drive and spirit from my brothers, but I also got it from the members at Nashua too. I played with them often, and there was no crying in golf. My 2 New Hampshire amateur wins, my New England win right here at Manchester Country Club, helped propel my thoughts to play golf in college. I played college golf at Miami-Dade Junior College and then transferred to Florida International University. My college years were successful and I improved my game every year. But in the summer, I always came back to Nashua. I worked with John and started talking to my family about turning pro. From those talks, a group of 12 generous men, my Nashua 12 as I've called them, got together and gave me enough money to go to the LPGA qualifying school in Miami. After a 3-day tournament, I was medalist, and I received my LPGA player's card January 1974, and I was off and running, traveling the world. I spent 30 years on tour. I had an amazing career, and I was blessed. But the most cherished and most important part of my journey was the love and support I received from my family. My dad, Richard, my mom, Kathleen, who's with me tonight at a young age of 95. My 5 brothers, my brother Rick, my brother Tom, my brother Mark, who's Keegan's dad, my brother John, and my brother Chris, who is here tonight with me with his wife Suzanne. Thank you so much, Mom. I could not have accomplished any of this without the support of so many. So I thank you all very much again for this great honor. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is both an accomplished amateur and professional golfer, PGA professional Kirk Hannafeld. He's going to be introduced by longtime friend Peter Harity.
In 1974, the New Hampshire Amateur Championship was hosted by the Beaver Meadow Golf Club in Concord. For the first time in more than 10 tries that year, I made it to the finals. In the final match of 1974, I'd be playing a young 18-year-old who had already accomplished an impressive record as a junior golfer. 1971, 72, 73 New Hampshire Junior Champion. 1973 New Hampshire High School Champion. 1973 New England Junior Champion. Most impressive record, but beyond that, I was even more aware of how much of a challenge I'd be facing on that Saturday in July of 1974. You see, that young player was also my clubmate. I'd watched him grow up, saw firsthand his talent, his commitment, and his dedication to the game. In short, I knew he could really play. Although a close match, not surprisingly, I lost that day. My young opponent notched his first state amateur title, and he was on his way to much bigger things. In 1976, he again won the New Hampshire Amateur. In 1977, added the New England Amateur title. That same year, made it to the round of 32 in the U.S. Amateur. In 1978, after playing collegiate golf and as a scholarship player at the University of Houston, he turned professional and his winning ways continued. 1982 New Hampshire Open champion. 1998 Rhode Island Open champion. 2000, 2001, 2003 New England PGA champion. 2003 Maine Open champion. 2005 Maine and Rhode Island Open champion. 2008 and 2011 Senior PGA Professional National Champion. 2015 New England PGA Senior Champion. In 1990, while serving as the head golf professional at Salem Country Club, he was the only club pro to qualify for both the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship. When he turned age 50, he qualified to play the PGA Senior Tour, now the PGA Tour Champions, where he has played in 71 official events. Between the PGA Tour and the PGA Tour Champions, he has now played in 28 major championships. 29, my apology. And he continues to perform at a championship level even today. In 2018, he again won the he played in PGA Tour Champions events and again won the New England PGA Senior Championship. And as the oldest player in the field and playing against the young Bombers, finished third in this year's New England PGA Championship. I am truly honored to be here this evening to introduce to you my longtime friend and one of the very best ball strikers I've ever known. I give to you Kirk Hanefeld.
Following Pat Bradley is a bit of a challenge. I can remember playing one year in San Antonio, paired with Sandy Lyle, and standing on the first tee there going through the introductions, and of course Sandy winning Masters and Players Championships and so on and so forth, and then they got to me, and he said, Kirk Hanefeld from Massachusetts, and that was about it. Peter, thank you for those kind words. Peter and I go a long ways back. Played a lot of golf with Peter back in the 70s and 80s at Rochester Country Club. Before I say a few words, I want to recognize my parents, both of whom are 91. Initially, they thought they might be here tonight, but didn't quite happen. However, my wife Kathleen is here, sitting right over there, table 16. And I want to thank her for her unwavering and continued support and encouragement of me in my career. I share this award with all of them tonight. I'd also like to congratulate all of the Hall of Fame inductees tonight for their contributions to the game and for the impressive list of lifelong achievements that they've made in this great game of golf, many of whom I've had great admiration for as I was developing as a golfer earlier in my career. I finally look back at my junior golf days in New Hampshire, growing up in Somersworth and learning to play the game at Rochester Country Club. I played all sports, baseball, football, basketball, up until about the age of 14, but stopped playing those sports because at 5'4" and 110 pounds, I was getting the crap beat out of me. So I concentrated on playing golf, where size really wasn't much of an issue. I recall one of my first junior amateur championships played at Amherst Country Club when I was 15 years old. I'd never broken 80 in a tournament prior to that event, but shot 76 in qualifying for the match play portion and subsequently went on to win, winning 3 matches against kids that were older, stronger, and longer. Now at the age of 62, I still like to compete, but now I compete with kids who are younger, stronger, and longer. After my college career at the University of Houston, I gave it my best shot 3 times, in fact, to try to play on the PGA Tour. All 3 times I came close. All 3 times I was unsuccessful. I simply was not good enough. Over the next 25 years or so, I proudly served the memberships at Salem Country Club in Peabody, Mass, and the International Golf Club in Bolton, Mass, as head golf professional and director of golf. At the age of 50, I tried giving it another shot at playing with the best players in the world. This time having some success, finishing second at the Champions Tour Tour School over 2 stages and over 10 rounds of golf. Not knowing whether I was good enough to play with those guys or how long it would last, I am happy to say and grateful to have played in 71 senior tour events, including 29 major championships. I finally fulfilled my dream of competing at the highest level. To the parents out there that have sons or daughters who either play the game or may be interested in starting to play, my only words would be is to not push them, but to encourage them and to support them, because you never know where this game may take them. It's a thrill for me to be here tonight and an honor to be included in the inaugural class of the New Hampshire Golf Association Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Our next inductee is one of the most accomplished amateur golfers in New Hampshire history, Dana Harity. And she is going to be introduced via a video by her daughter, Maggie, who is currently on her honeymoon, I believe, right?
So when I found out that my mom, Dana Harity, would be inducted into the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame, I wouldn't let anything get in the way of properly congratulating her. Throughout my childhood, when anyone met me who knew my mom, the first thing they would say is, "Wow, you're Dana Harity's daughter, you must play golf." With which, determined to be independent of my mother, and in true teenage fashion, I would simply roll my eyes and give my mom a knowing glare. I was so lucky that even at an early age, my mom always encouraged me to pursue my own path and do whatever made me happy, which of course at the time was not golf. What makes my mom happy is competing. She has a competitive drive that has led her down the path that's brought us here, the Hall of Fame. Throughout her amateur golf career, she has accomplished more than any other woman in the history of New Hampshire golf. Her accomplishments include, but are not limited to, the 2014 New England Women's Golf Association champion, as well as the 16-time state amateur champion. She has competed in 7 U.S. amateurs, 12 U.S. mid-amateurs, 8 U.S. senior amateurs, and 4 U.S. state team championships. My mother's accomplishments in the New Hampshire golf world are beyond extraordinary, but I feel as though her greatest accomplishment is the role model that she's provided for me. During her 2015 to 2017 presidency at the NHWGA, she was presented with some very unique challenges, dedicating her blood, sweat, and tears to her presidency. She handled these obstacles unlike anyone else would have been capable of doing so, and through that showed me what it is to be a strong, confident leader. Both my father and my new husband would be the first to say my mom and I are exactly alike. And although I do know they're poking fun at us, I hope that that is true, because I would consider it a true honor to be just like my mom. She supported me, coached me, and encouraged me throughout all aspects of my life. She's taught me to go after any goal I set for myself and how to succeed under pressure, as I've also inherited her tendency towards procrastination. I've spent my life looking up to a confident, competitive, resilient woman. So Mom, congratulations. You've become a role model for young women golfers. Your championship resume is unmatched, and you've left your mark on the game of golf in New Hampshire. And with all that said, I know that you're still not done. Everyone better watch out next year at the stadium. Congratulations on all of your accomplishments. And most importantly, I want to thank you for being my mom. So, it's my honor to welcome the most decorated female golfer in the state of New Hampshire, my mom, Dana Harity.
All right, I'm not really sure how to follow that, but this is pretty amazing. I want to thank the NHGA and the Hall of Fame Committee for making this evening possible. I'm honored to be here as one of the inductees into the inaugural class of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. It's been a fantastic journey, and I've been fortunate to have a great deal of support. Thank you to the NHWGA for giving women around the state of New Hampshire an opportunity to compete at golf. I'd like to thank my Abenaki family for being here with me tonight. I'd like to thank my golf professional, Jim Sheeran, who always took time to encourage and support me. I'd like to thank my sister Stacy, who's over here, who, after I beat her the first time I played golf, she gave me her golf clubs. I'd like to thank my sister Sally, who gave me my first pair of golf shoes, and her husband Doug, who took me out to play golf every Monday, even though I would throw a tantrum or two. I want to thank my daughter, who put up with my life of tournament golf. When Maggie was born, I had a wonderful family of sisters who babysat for Maggie. The Trotman girls were the first. They took turns watching my baby, so much so that the first word out of Maggie's mouth was Zebby. Not Mommy, not Daddy, Zebby. We had no idea who Zebby was. Zebby turned out to be the Trotman's dog. Then there were the Sheeran girls. I think Melanie spent more time with Maggie than with her own friends. Maggie and Melanie both became nurses, one at Children's, the other at New England Baptist, and they remained in touch through the years, and Melanie just attended Maggie's wedding. So thank you to Kim Trotman and Melanie Sheeran, who gave me the opportunity to play golf. Thank you to my best friends, Nancy Kelly and Donna Perkins, who make me a better player and they make me a better person. And most of all, I'd like to thank the most important person in my life, my husband, Peter. I got lucky when I met Peter. Little did I know my life was going to change forever. I'm not talking about our romance. I'm talking about my golf game. I moved from Connecticut to Peter's native New Hampshire. My work ethic was about to be challenged. I'd been competing, and I was going to start to compete in a new association. When it came to golf, Peter was older and wiser than I was. And as those who have played tournament golf with Peter know, he's an A personality. He worked super hard to utilize every bit of his talent he had to get the most out of his game. I, on the other hand, was more of a B personality. Sometimes a bit lazy, one who relies on athletic talent, which frequently left me as an underachiever. Well, that was about to change. Peter came home from work every night. We had to go to Abenaki and play golf. Played 9 holes every night. It was something that didn't fit my B personality. I really wanted to go to the movies. But night after night, we went to the golf course. On the other side of the scale, Peter and I have totally different personalities on the golf course. Peter sees the glass half empty. Empty. He thinks he has a bad golf swing. He's never hit a good shot. He's never shot a good score. He won the state amateur twice, you know. I, on the other hand, saw the glass as half full. I think I always thought I had a decent swing. Bad shots were never my fault. I never missed a putt that was ever my fault. It was never my stroke. With the change in my work ethic, along with maintaining a positive attitude, my golf game really started to improve. And now I had an opportunity to compete on a level playing field. As a young player, while living in Connecticut, I found myself intimidated by great players around me. Barbara Young, Lyda Kittycutt, Marcia Dolan, all legends in Connecticut golf. And as a public course player, there were restrictions on the tournaments I could enter. Our private club members could represent Connecticut in the New England Amateur, but I was a public course player. When I joined the NHWGA, I was elated. It was a breath of fresh air. All New Hampshire women golfers could play in their tournaments and represent the state in the New England Amateur. Although I had minimal golf experience, in July of 1982, I was excited to go off and play in the New England Amateur in Augusta, Maine at Augusta Country Club. I finished 7th and got the feeling that I could compete with the girls around New England. So I entered the NHWGA State Championship, which that year was being played at Abenaki. Peter had explained that New Hampshire had some really good golfers. There was Tina Toombs and Kristen Allen and Christy Kamal, all who had full scholarships to college. But what I didn't know them and I wasn't afraid. I happened to win. I had never played that well in a tournament before in my life. The next year, I ventured out to play in some bigger events. Included in those events were the North and South Amateur, and I qualified for my first U.S. Amateur. Later on in that season, I qualified for the LPGA Boston 5, where I stupidly introduced myself to Pat Bradley on the putting green. I told her I'd won the New Hampshire Championship the year before and how incredible it was to have my name on the same trophy as her. And she was very gracious, and she didn't even roll her eyes. Like, oh my gosh. But the Boston 5 tournament, during the Boston 5 tournament, I discovered that turning pro was really not for me. I wanted to have a family, and I thought with the travel demands and the tour, it would be very difficult for me to do both. And in addition, and more importantly, I knew the players were a cut above my talent level. They could really hit their drivers, and they could really putt. And I never regretted my decision. Over the years, as my daughter told you, I have had the privilege to represent Abenaki Country Club in the state of New Hampshire in 7 U.S. amateurs, 12 mid-amateurs, 8 senior amateurs, and countless other amateur tournaments around the country. I have been so fortunate to have developed wonderful lifelong friendships with a countless number of my fellow competitors. Carol Semple Thompson, Martha Leach, Noreen Friel Moeller are among those who I have on my cell phone and are on speed dial. I appreciate every minute of my golf career, and I have never taken 1 minute for granted. To all of you here representing New Hampshire Golf, I again thank you for this wonderful honor.
Our final inductee of the evening is the 9-time New Hampshire Amateur Champion from Concord Country Club, Bob Mielkars, who's going to be introduced by his longtime friend and sometimes caddy, Chick Smith.
It's truly an honor and a privilege for me to have the opportunity to introduce my friend Bob Mielkars as one of the initial inductees into the New Hampshire Golf Association Hall of Fame. Over the past 35 years, I've played numerous rounds with Bob, both as a partner and as an opponent. I've had much more success when I was his partner. In addition, I've accompanied him on many of his title pursuits in the state amateur and during the 4 times he participated in the USGA Senior Amateur. He has a very impressive run. Added to that, the fact that our families are part of a group that has been close for many years, and Bob and I have broken down hundreds of college football games on TV with our favorite microbrew. I think I have a good idea of who he is as a golfer, but more importantly as a person. With so many outstanding golfers in the state, both past and present, I'm sure he is humbled by being selected in the first class of inductees. I'm often asked by friends, what makes this Mielkars guy such a successful golfer? Well, let's check the card. He won his first title in 1977 at age 27 and his 9th title in 2000 at age 50. He's been really good for a long, long time. Off the tee, he's not particularly long, but from 100 yards in, he has few equals. Anyone who has ever had the misfortune of going up against him in a big match would certainly agree. And if talent isn't enough, Bob is one of the most tenacious competitors I've ever seen. Regardless of the situation, he simply will not give up. You think he's out of a hole? Think again. You better beat him because he rarely beats himself. He has often said, if I hit good shots, the results will take care of themselves. Even today, as he approaches the magical age of 70, he still has extremely high expectations of himself. Despite the fact that Bob still complains about the state of his game, he still has plenty of game. Just a few weeks ago, I saw him after a round at Concord and asked him how he did, and he was shaking his head and he was groaning. He says, oh, man, he says, I hit it fat, I hit it thin, I couldn't make a putt to save my life. And I'm saying to myself, man, he probably shot something like 80. No, 74. That was Bob being Bob. 9 is a significant number in Bob's life. He once told me, someone may break my record of 9 state amateur titles, but I won't be around to see it. He is proud of this accomplishment, but it pales in comparison to the pride he has for his family, especially his 9 grandchildren, who he absolutely adores. If you really want to see Bob excited about something, talk to him about Sadie, Helena, Wes, Henry, Elsie, John, Belle, Millie, and Jane. People hear the name Bob Mielkars and they say, oh yeah, that's that golf guy who won all those state AMs. But I'm here to tell you, yeah, he's a winner, all right, and that's his reputation, but those of us who know Bob see much more than that. He's a dedicated family man, a loyal friend, and a man of unmatched integrity. Truly a remarkable person. Please welcome my friend Bob Mielkars.
Chick, thanks for the really kind words, even though you did have a little fun with me. You've been a great friend and frequent caddy over the years, and I've particularly enjoyed the 4 cross-country trips we took together to the U.S. Senior Am. Having you on the bag certainly enabled me to play better in all of those events. First, I'd like to thank the selection committee, headed by Dave Larrabee, for considering me worthy of this honor. And I want to congratulate all of the other inductees in this inaugural class of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. I am humbled to be included with such a distinguished group. I also want to take a moment to pay tribute to all of this year's champions, especially the junior players. For you are the future of golf in New Hampshire. And from what I can see, the game is going to be in good hands for many years to come. I want to thank the golf associations, both past and present, for affording golfers like me the opportunities to satisfy their competitive desire with a comprehensive calendar of events every year. I'm old enough to have played amateur golf through 4 directors and many different boards, and each year seems to bring more tournaments to challenge both the gross and net players. This growth has been especially pronounced under Matt Schmidt's leadership, and I personally welcome the extra events in which seniors can compete. I would also like to pay tribute to the many tournament volunteers without whom New Hampshire golf events would not run smoothly. Men like Gary Woods, Ron Woods, Bruce Wilkinson, and Ron Blythe. I have tried to say thank you during my rounds when I could, and for all those times when I failed to personally recognize your service, I want to publicly say thank you to you now. Looking back to my first NHGA State Am in 1975, after moving from Massachusetts, it's hard not to be a bit nostalgic. The fields back then were not as large, and the depth of talent was certainly not as deep. Although that has changed, one thing that did not change is the camaraderie among the players in our small state. It's what I cherish most in New Hampshire amateur golf. I have often likened the New Hampshire Golf Association to a fraternity where lifelong friendships are made. My life has been enriched by competing in state competitions, and I will always be grateful for that. Well, speaking of being grateful, I would be remiss in not recognizing the support network that I've enjoyed throughout my life, starting with my mother, Regina, and my father, Chet. My State Am wins were always a family affair. My dad saw every State Am final, and my mom missed only one because she was babysitting our son, who was then 4 months old. In the audience this evening are my 3 children, Dan, Kara, and Lauren. Nobody has ever had more enthusiastic fans. Plus, all 3 managed to caddy for me during their teenage years. Those of you who have had the pleasure of having a child on your bag know how great an experience that is. I especially want to thank the 3 of you for blessing me with 9 beautiful grandchildren. The joy that they have brought to my life has been a terrific diversion to the fact that my golf game is heading south. I have intentionally saved for last the most important person in my life to thank. That would be my lovely wife of 46 years, Elaine. There is no way I win 9 State Ams without Elaine. She has lived through my thrills of victory and agonies of defeat for 39 tournaments, 38 of which were consecutive from 1975 to 2012. And I'm not just talking about going off to play. Elaine meticulously planned family vacations all over New Hampshire to coincide with State Am Week every July. She endured morning sickness in a cottage on Rye Beach in 1978 while pregnant with Kara, while Dan was only 16 months old. And I will never forget North Conway in 1982. It was perhaps the hottest State Am that I ever competed. Elaine was 8 months pregnant with Lauren, and Dan and Kara were only 4 and 2 respectively. Now that's a Hall of Fame wife. Thank you for being with me for all these years. I would not be enjoying this honor without you. In closing, I want to say that I am proud to accept the honor of being inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening. While I never once felt that I was the tournament favorite or best player in the field during any given year, I do believe that nobody ever wanted to win more than I did. and I think that I got the maximum out of my natural ability. Now I look forward to future inductees joining this year's class so that they too can earn the little piece of immortality that I feel I was just given. Thank you.